Okay, so let's have a look at this e-board. Starting at the business end, we've got a couple of belt-driven wheels here. The motors. Be interesting to know what size they are. Oh, hang on, is that size? No, I think that's just a number. But yeah, she's a nice looking board. Personally, I've never owned one. Don't think I will because my right leg is not very strong these days. Got this big long black thing here. Don't know what all that's about. So yeah, very nice indeed. This is the control which comes with it. Finger trigger here, another trigger here, little screen up here. Let's switch it on, have a wee look-see. Cool, very nice. Oh wow, let's get into it. So yeah, now taking a wee closer look on the board up on the bench. I'm not really sure how I'm going to get this off. Looking at, we've got some screws here, but I don't think those will be the screws. Hang on, let me get a screwdriver. Maybe we could pry all the edges up to see what's under it. Actually, there's the power switch here. I bet if I use the hammer to shove into there, we'll probably be able to get it out. Anyway, actually, I know. I've got a good idea how I'm going to get this damn thing off. Right, so put the board there like that, and yes, that's what I was grinding in the garage. Makes life much quicker. Alrighty, so let's carefully turn the board over. Now, I see we've got wires which go in there, obviously coming from the ESCs. Let's have a wee sneaky peek and have a look at what's under here. Okie dokie. Well, as you can see, we've got quite a bit going on under there. So we can see our battery has quite a few wires coming out of it. So that's a bit curious as to why all of that coming out of it. What have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 wires coming out of there. So that sort of makes sense, but doesn't make sense because this is a 10S battery. So, okay. So we've got a JST plug here. And now we need to get these other two plugs out of this board here. Now I can see they've got a bit of silicone on them so they don't fall out. Now I see what's going on. Got a little clip on the top of that. There we go. And the second one's got a little clip on top as well. And there we go. So now we can have a little bit of a closer look under here. Okay, so whoops, let's have a wee look-see at our battery. So you can see here, this is a 36 volt 10 amp hour battery. Now you will see the batteries that are going into it soon. Yes, it's going to be still going to be a 36 volt battery, but it's going to be a 12.4 amp hour battery. So he's also going to get a slight, he's going to get more range out of it and more power. So let's have a look at this end of the battery. We can see we've got some sort of circuit board in there. So you can see we've got some sort of circuit board in there. You can probably see that. So, well, let's carefully open up this battery then. I have now disconnected the battery case from the board. And you know how I was saying the battery had lots and lots of wires on it. They don't really make much sense. Well, now I can see that this here is for UARTs in and out. This here is for battery. It says battery switch, some sort of battery switch. This one here, which I unplugged, goes straight to the charge port on the side here. So that makes sense that this is some sort of BMS. Well, it does make sense because it's got all of these wires going into it, the BMS wires. Because I'm going to have to take this off because we do not have a second one. The owner has plans for this battery, and we now have seen what the battery is. Those plans might be changing just a little bit, but we'll just have to see how it goes. But yeah, so basically this is obviously just ESC and a bit of communication to the control. And we can see capacitors down in there, capacitors on that side which go to the ESC. Yeah, and let's take this off carefully because I have to remember this battery is still live. I am going to be taking all the tape off here because I'm going to be needing all of these balance wires which go to this balance board. Now this is supposed to be a 10S4P battery. Now we are going down to a 10S3P battery. So with the little plug here which goes to the balance banks, I'm just going to pull that out. And because I don't know anything about this BMS apart from that it's on the negative side of the battery, I'll be pulling this little balance lead out and just seeing which way the batteries build up voltage, so I know which way to wire the battery up when I've made the new battery. So yeah, I'm not going to film everything because I'm really being careful with this, and it's probably going to take up too much time. Yeah, because see this plug, it's good to see that this plug has got glue on it, which is a good thing. I will be replacing that glue. It's got like a silicone-y type of glue on it, so which I will be replacing, not with hot glue, but I've got silicone here. So we now have the two items we need from that battery, which we have the balance lead and balance plug, and we have the BMS. So now I am going to have to figure out how I'm going to fit round batteries where rectangle ones came out. Shouldn't be too hard, but yeah. Well, my God, that did not take long at all. Look at this, I'm finished already. Look, battery, perfect. Just pop that in there, and we'll just plug this into here. Yeah, see, done. Right, now I can reassemble it. Whew, that didn't take long at all. Whee-ha! Okay, right, being serious this time. This is pretty much how the battery, what the battery is going to look like. I have to get rid of this here, which I'm doing. Down this end here, I'm going to have to get rid of this little lip here. Now, I was told that some people do mount this on here. Let's spin the camera around. I've been told that some people do mount this on here, but mounting that on there then makes that a little bit too high. Makes it just too high to be able to, you know, screw this back on, and so that means this will be under pressure. As you can see, I've measured that. That is about 5 mil. That gap's about 5 mil. So let's start preparing some batteries. Okay, so one of the first things you do when you're about to build a battery is you line them all up, or however you want to have them. You test the voltage of each cell just to make sure that they are all the same and there are no bad cells in there. If there are bad cells, I will have to get some more because I don't have any spare. But yeah, so let's go ahead and do that. Now I am going to group these into their banks of 3, their 3P banks. And there we go, just like that. Okay, so I have just cut up 5 meters worth of nickel. Now this nickel here is 0.15 thick, so I'm going to put 2 layers on each surface, and some of you may think that's overkill, so that's the reason why I'm going to put 3. Is these 3P batteries are capable of putting out 135 amps. Now I want that 135 amps to be able to flow nicely without the battery and without the nickel getting too hot. So here we go. My spot welder I'm using is 1200 amp. It's got a foot pedal. So I've just cut up, as I think I just said, I've just cut up 5 meters worth. All right. Now, why I've got the camera in the way, it's now just to show you, I did some test spot welds and they turned out pretty good. As you can see, there's holes through there, so when I tried ripping them off the batteries, of course it ripped off and left nickel on the battery, so that means that your spot welder is decent. Now most people only put 4 welds per terminal. I most of the time put 6. And I'm gonna put another one on top. Yes. Now, unfortunately I did this off camera. The BMS was sitting on the battery this way, I think, was it? yeah, this way. They had pushed this negative cable through and it came out there. I didn't like how it only had a little bit, and I realized that they had pushed it through. They had also pushed the thermostat through as well. But now we're sort of going to have more room. I have pulled them back through because the BMS is now going to sit on top of here. I've had to pull the thermostat through, otherwise it would not be reaching the battery at all. And this cable, as you can see, it was only that long and it wouldn't have reached to the battery. This battery has to sit like this, right? Oh, I've also printed out a standoff to go all the way around, which I will super glue that. I haven't printed the other side yet because I've got to add in these little areas, but that's good enough. That's raising this battery up 5 mil, which is perfect for the BMS, so the BMS won't be squished and so it won't be putting pressure on top of the ESC board, etc. With these cells like this, there's no way I'm going to be able to get in there to solder these cells together. So I will be building the battery like this. How does that? I'll have to figure it out as I go. And so one whole side bank I will be soldering together like that. Then I will be bending them down like so. As you can see, we've got like an accordion style battery as I pull that out, which I'm not going to pull it any further. So we can see here I've got our two accordions. Of course I have to join these two together, and I'm going to have a think about how I'm going to do it. Okay, I've thought about how I'm going to do it. I'm going to run a wire between these. So yeah, as well as, you know, joining these two together, I have to run a bit of nickel out the side of each of the banks of cells where they're joined together for the balance leads to go. Alright, let's soak this in solder. Come on, soak up, that's what I like to see. Come on, stick it. Get in the middle. I'm not going to wait for the camera in front of me. Now it's crank on at 400. Got to leave enough room to be able to spot weld everywhere. There we go. That's one side done. I'll check the one as well. Okay, as you can see, we've got the positive lead on the battery and the negative lead which runs through the BMS. Now comes the tricky part, where I have to de-accordion the battery into the battery case. Now this part is going to be tricky. I'm going to film it. So lifting the battery all as one is very important now. Just to be safe, I'm going to cover up the BMS in a rag just in case something touches without me knowing. So, and now here's where I start to accordion out the battery. Okay, so I had a little bit of a play around, and this battery is sitting nicer now. And now it's time for the balance wires. The BMS will be sitting here, and the wires will be plugged in and be coming around and going everywhere they need to. Alright, all of the BMS wires are on. And we know that we never just plug our BMS wire straight in. We know we have to test it first. Okay. Super glue these to each other. They don't really need to be, but I will. Make sure we've got enough free cable to go in, plug in. Yep, which we have, barely. No, it's going to be nice. All of these wires will be all tidied up. So I only have one or two more things to do. One is I'm going to put tape over all of these, flip it over, do the same on the other side, put tension on them so these are actually touching each other as well, and then put some heat shrink on, plug the BMS in, and yeah, that will be a complete battery. Alright, one quick last look at the battery before I put the top sheet of fiberglass on it, and before I put the heat shrink on it, put the thermostat in the battery. But I will tuck that in just before I start doing the heat shrink, and I'll hot glue that in place. Basically, it may not look super duper tidy, but this battery, you know, once it's in the board, it's not going to move, it's not going to go anywhere. So, you know, this is why I don't know what I'm saying there, but yeah, so I'm pretty much done. I'll be putting that on, taping it down, and then my favorite part of a battery build, putting the heat shrink on it, shrinking it, plugging in our last two wires, and then putting this back on the board, and then crossing my fingers for luck that it will work. Nah, just kidding. I know it's going to work because this isn't my first rodeo. It's not even my second. This is the battery build complete. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it's helped some people out.